Here we have the ulna. Now the ulna is kind of unique because of this shape right here, this U shape for ulna. So you're thinking about it, if you think about U shape, you think about ulna, you're all set. Now the ulna is one of the two bones of your forearm. The ulna is what is going to sit on the medial side of your arm when you're in anatomical position. So if your palms are facing forward, your arm is straight, the bone on your fifth digit side is the ulna. This is the ulna. First landmark up is the olecranon process. Now this right here is the olecranon process. So what I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit and change perspective so you can see it a little easier. Now that we've changed perspective, you can really see this U shape right here. Now you notice I can turn around and you can really see a nice U. This part up top, the most proximal part, is the actual olecranon process. Now, if that name is sounding familiar, sure, because that name itself also is the olecranon fossa found on the humerus. But this is the olecranon process. We then have the coronoid process, this next one here, the other side of the U shape. This is the coronoid process. Now the coronoid process, just like you might have guessed, is going to articulate with the coronoid fossa of the humerus. So olecranon process, coronoid process. Right in between here, this is going to be the trochlear notch. Now the trochlear notch, just like the name implies, is going to articulate with the trochlea. So the trochlear notch articulates with the trochlea. We then have one more thing over here. You can see this indent right here. If I kind of change a little bit, there's an indent right there. That indent is the radial notch. The radial notch is going to be found on the lateral side of the ulna because the radial notch is going to articulate with the radius. So it has to be on the lateral side itself, heading out towards the thumb. So that's the radial notch. Now, one unique thing with the actual ulna is the head is on the distal end, not the proximal end. So I'm going to reset. Now that we're reset, we've gone to the other end of the bone. This is the distal end, and this is the head. The head of the ulna is on the distal end. And the landmark, this point right here, is the styloid process. That's the styloid process. So let me reset back to the full bone. Now that we're back to the full bone here, we can see that we have, again, for reference, this is the proximal up top, this is distal down below. We have the olecranon process, we have the coronoid process, the indent is the trochlear notch, this smooth indent on the side, which is on the lateral side. This lateral side here is the radial notch. Head is down here, and this little tiny point you see sticking out, that is the styloid process. Now to orientate, since we know that the trochlea is going to be anterior, so that's facing anterior, so that's up is anterior right now. We know that the radial notch is going to be facing lateral. This is a left ulna. So the U shape, the trochlear notch is anterior, has faced the front. The radial notch, this side indent, has to be going towards the outside, towards the lateral surface, towards the radius. This is going to be a left ulna.